All right, welcome everybody. We're gonna go ahead and get started here. I see we've got quite a few people that have logged on. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to have our second webinar kicking off here right now. So welcome to any of those who haven't been with us on the previous webinar for Entrepreneurship Month. But Intuit is hosting this. We have 4 webinars throughout the month of November for Entrepreneurship Month. And this one today is around how to teach entrepreneurship. I'm Ryan McAllister, and I'm joined today by Jackeline Mejias-Fuertes, as well as Lou Blackburn, who are both experts in this field. And we're really looking forward to hearing from both of them today. So sit back, relax. You know, I just a couple of comments I'd say on you know, just the run of show for today. Please do use the chat button is open and available, so you can chat us there, or you can add Q&A directly to this by using the Q&A button on the lower right hand side. So if you don't mind using that, and we'll get to your questions as we go. All right, so with that, why don't we go ahead and jump right in. All right, so as I mentioned, this is one of 4 webinars. We're on the second one. We kicked it off last week with Dream, all about, you know, what is entrepreneurship, and we had an awesome entrepreneur on that is you know, built his business up over the course of the last few years. So that was great to kick us off. Today we're all about teaching entrepreneurship. How do we build an ecosystem for students, right? For your students to really thrive and bring their ideas to life. So that's what we're going to talk about a little bit about today. We have Succeed, which is how do we build student confidence and being able to take that leap into entrepreneurship. And finally, we're going to wrap that up with professional financial literacy, if you will, right? Helping entrepreneurs ensure that they have the financial literacy to be able to succeed and thrive in their business as they go out and start their endeavors. So I'm Ryan with Intuit, and we feel like we are uniquely positioned here because of some of the products that we have wrapped around, you know, the financial livelihoods of both individuals, but also small businesses, especially with our products that are, you know, QuickBooks specifically, that so many small businesses rely on to, you know, run their business, manage vendors, manage invoices, manage expenses, you know, how to run your overall business as a successful, you know, financial operation. We do also have MailChimp. You know, that was a fairly recent acquisition about 16 months ago, I think. But we have MailChimp in the family now, so that they help with you know, all email marketing needs and needs that many small businesses are utilizing as well. So with that, you know, on the education side, we have tools and resources that are available to you as educators for free, right? So I'm in the corporate responsibility portion of the company. So we give all of these out to educators and students for free. So you can actually get your students, you know, a free 1-year trial of QuickBooks if they're enrolled in an institution. So that could be in high school or in a college institution, but they can have a free 1-year access to QuickBooks as they're thinking about businesses, or even just you know, want to go through and learn more about bookkeeping and accounting. How do they do that on a small business platform that's trusted by millions of small businesses? So that's one of the resources. We do also have design thinking methodology, which we call Design for Delight. And that is available for free. We have workshops, we have different tools and resources that you can bring into your classroom. So I'll chat our website and where you can go and get all of that. I'll actually walk you through how to get free QuickBooks here in just a little bit, but wanted to just touch on those and really the reason on why we're running this series during the month. So with that, we'll jump right in. So Jackeline, I'll kick it over to you. And if you wouldn't mind telling everybody a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hi, Ryan, and welcome everyone. I see there's so many people coming in from different places, which is pretty great. I myself am from New Jersey. I am an entrepreneur is the first thing I have to say. But apart from that, I do have an MBA that specializes in entrepreneurship. When I decided to go back to school, I knew I was going to get an MBA, but my passion for years has been entrepreneurship. I've actually, great, I see someone from New Jersey. Hi, I'm in Monmouth County. So for me, I realized that that's where I wanted to focus. Why? Because entrepreneurship to me really is about changing a person's life and what it can do for you. And if you could do it through education and practice, I think that is the best way to go forward. So moving along with that, I'm also a lifelong learner, which means I just didn't stop at my MBA. I continue moving forward and I obtained my doctorate in management. Why? Leadership goes hand in hand when you're creating a business. It's all about the culture. How do you develop that culture to, create that strong foundation within a business? So I decided to get my doctorate on top of that. So I am in a unique position where at the school where I actually teach as an adjunct professor, I also run the Small Business Development Center. So it gives me the opportunity not only to teach it on the academic side, which I created the curriculum for the community college where I teach, but I also work on an entrepreneurship certificate for those that are in the business community who are interested in starting a business or have a small business, haven't really established a solid foundation, and we really help them move along, because for us, their success is our success, and entrepreneurship really has the power to change a person's life. So for me, I'm an entrepreneur. As I said before, I love what I do. Like I said, I'm the regional director of the Small Business Development Center at Brookdale Community College. As an adjunct, not only do I teach the entrepreneurship course that I created, but I also teach intro to business as well as marketing, all aspects that revolve around business development. So for me, when I was asked if I wanted to participate in this, I jumped at the opportunity. But one of the main reasons is I've been an ambassador for Intuit, I guess for about a year and a half now, where I've had the opportunity really to dive into their programs and their resources to see how they can help my students. And I have to say, they have been absolutely amazing. In the last quarter that I taught entrepreneurship, I was able to use some of the resources that they had for their financial management for entrepreneurs, and it went over phenomenally well with my students. So should I keep on going with that? Or, they can see who I am and they can see what I do. I am a community person. I believe in giving back to the community. And as an entrepreneur, I think that's part of who we are. And now we're all, as entrepreneurs, as I see my students engaging in businesses, they're all heading towards the whole social entrepreneurship realm. So to me, that's a wonderful thing.
Thanks, Jackeline.
Mhm.
All right, let's go ahead and move over to Lou. Lou, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure thing. Thank you, Ryan. Hello, everyone. My name is Lou Blackburn Jr., and I am an educator in the high school level. So I get them before they go on to Dr. Jackeline. For me, I'll go into how I started, or how I started teaching. My background is actually in technology. So I graduated with a bachelor's in computer science, and I figured, hey, that's the way to go. Take advantage of the money in technology. And there was this choice here. Do I go in technology? My family has a history in education. My dad is an educator, uncles, aunts. My grandmother is an educator. In fact, I am the high school where I'm teaching now. I'm a third generation teacher from my family. My grandmother was there, my uncle was there, and now me. So it was one of those things like, why not go into education? And the reason was because technology would have paid me more. So that's what I decided to do after that. And I went to work for HP, had a fabulous job there, wonderful career for many, many years until I started to feel stuck. And a friend of mine who was working for another company said, hey, I need your help over here. Do you mind coming to, I know you like HP. And I'm like, okay, I'll be there. So I went ahead and worked there, still in technology for a while. That was as a contract. And when that ended, I had to decide, well, what am I going to do when I grow up? And eventually I landed in teaching, and I love this business aspect of it. In particular, I was drawn in by the entrepreneurship education, and that's what really made me fall into it. I think it's a wonderful opportunity. As teachers, we get to expose our students to a lot, and we're trying to help them create a new future for themselves that they don't really understand yet. They really don't appreciate it because they can't see it and they can't see how it's going to benefit you. But we know that. We know that as adults, and then as teachers, we have to figure out how do we mold them into at least recognizing it and using some of the tools that we give them. And through entrepreneurship, I've been given a whole host of tools that we can use to teach students. Myself, I have 3 young daughters. So my daughters are 16, 13, and 10. And that's one of the driving forces. Eventually, I probably would have ended up in education anyway, but having children that are in our school system, it allows me to say, hey, I need to help out this school like I need other teachers to help out my daughter's schools. And by the way, just like Jacqueline, I do help out in the community. I associate Girl Scouts of Jersey Shore on there. I'm part of Girl Scouts of Northeast Texas. It just happens when you have 3 daughters. And in fact, my computer right now is on top of Girl Scout cookie boxes. I think that Girl Scouts has a wonderful program. You have a lot of opportunities to fundraise for things. We just got World's Finest Chocolates, and none of it really compares to the Girl Scout program in that they say, yes, we want you to go sell these cookies, and we're not going to give you as much money as you're going to collect, and you're probably going to end up with cases of them still left in your living room like I have now. But we're also helping the girls, teaching them. We have these lessons that show them how to build a business. And that's what we do as entrepreneurship teachers. So hopefully I can share a little bit more about that as we go along. And if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat.
Thanks so much, Lou. All right, and we'll go to the next slide. And this is just a little bit about me. So I run the go-to-market strategy for Intuit's job readiness program. And again, our program it sits within corporate responsibility. This is all about powering prosperity around the world and helping those students through career and financial programs that enable them to get the skills that we think that are needed in today's graduates that are going to go on and become small business owners. I manage strategic partners for the organization, as well as all the school district relationships that we work with around the world. So I have some wonderful teammates that manage those individual relationships, but I oversee the strategy across the board. I'm an innovation catalyst, so I work with design thinking and how that really relates to entrepreneurship. So we do a lot of mentoring with students and helping them taking their ideas through design thinking methodologies and building those out and looking at, hey, do you really have a business opportunity here? And so, yeah, those are some of the, entrepreneurship and personal finance are obviously of interest because of my role. But I really do try to build those into my life with, whether that's a side hustle or, other things going on. I also sit, on a couple of different boards that are focused on student education around entrepreneurship. And I've gone on and I've got my MBA as well from an education background. So all about business and entrepreneurship. So we can go ahead and kick through to the next slide and jump right into it. So this is Jacqueline, if you wouldn't mind bringing this to life a little bit. This is a kind of a case study example of something a few things you've been up to. So please walk us through it.
Okay, sure. Right. So when I was putting this slide together, right, what is entrepreneurship to me? And what is it that I bring to the classroom with it? And part of it is it's to expose our students, which are at the community college level, to explore the different opportunities that totally exist for them. It's not just about becoming an employee, but perhaps becoming an employer, really opening up their ability to see how far can they go? I don't believe in, just the box. I said the box no longer exists in my eyes. That for me, entrepreneurship really is a pathway, and it opens up the world of opportunities for so many of our students that at one point never saw themselves as entrepreneurs or as business owners. How I got started teaching entrepreneurship started when I had my business. I had my business for over 8 years. And during that time, I realized that I enjoyed educating individuals in different aspects of business, focusing on marketing. And when this opportunity came along at the community college, I figured, you know what? I'm ready for a change. I want to give this a shot. To be honest with you, I never saw myself as an educator. Funny, it does run in my family, but for myself, I said, nope, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm just going to run a business. But part of running that business was about educating the community. It was about educating our students. So for me, it's really to expose them and let them see what are the possibilities, help them come up with ideas, problem solving, what are the solutions? So with my students, I've been doing this now since 2012. I had to stop and think about it for a little bit. And it's been quite some time that I've been teaching the entrepreneurship course at Brookdale. And the rewards that come to me is when my students actually find me outside of the school and inform me that because of the course they took with me, because of what they were able to get out of the classroom, they are now either in business for themselves or going into business, which for me, it's huge, that I was able to introduce another pathway, that it wasn't about them going to school just to get a degree, just to become an employee. For me, it really is about opening doors. It's about them looking out and saying, wow, there's a problem, there's an opportunity, I'm going to take care of it. Because that's what happened for me when I started my business. I was a circulation director. I had a problem. I said, there has to be a solution to this. And going through that whole process, even attending the Small Business Development Center when I was in business for myself, really opened up my eyes to the possibilities that if you use the right resources, how far you can go, how you can create that foundation to create that business that's going to impact your life, but perhaps also the community that you live in. So in terms of the resources that I use in class, like Ryan, I am a design thinking innovative catalyst. I completed it through Intuit as well. But when I first did design thinking, it really opened up my mind. And when I taught the entrepreneurship course again, I taught it in a different fashion in order to get the students engaged and to see what kind of business do they want to go into. I use design thinking, started with, who is it that you're looking to solve a problem for? And then taking them through the stages. So in that also, it allowed me to teach them that it's okay to fail. We have students and generations look at it differently when it comes to failure. To me, failure is not a bad word. It's just an opportunity to learn how to do something differently. You're going to see that in so many quotes from so many different influential individuals out there, but it really is about helping them see that there's an opportunity and that it's okay not to get it right the first time. Because I don't know about others on the call, but my children are millennials, right? And they have a problem with failing. And I'm like, it's okay to fail. You're just going to bounce back up again. You're going to figure out that that's not the way you should do it. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, it's not just finding the solution, but also saying, how am I going to afford to do this? How do I bring the financials into it? Because that's key. In order for a business to be successful, you have to understand your financials. You have to understand where you stand personally. So within our entrepreneurship course, we make it a point to talk about their financial credit score. We do use Credit Karma because it's a free one. They could go on, they could put in their information, they could track their credit. And I make that a point because I ask them at the beginning of the class, during the semester, how many of you know what your credit score is? Do you even know where you stand financially? Because if you are going to open up a business, it starts there with how you handle your financial credit and moving forward. And then QuickBooks, to me, that's a no-brainer. Because I am able to teach it on both sides of the house. It's not just to the students that are on the credit side, but those that are on the non-credit side, as we call them at the community college. It's about giving them a tool for them to be able to manage their financial aspects of their business, to know where they stand at all times, to understand the financial statements and what does that mean about their business. You know, one of the tools that I loved, and I got to use it again for the first time, was when I was the ambassador for the financial management for entrepreneurship under Intuit. They provided so many modules that I was able to incorporate as additional resources to the curriculum that I already had. The modules included videos that really allow the students to understand how the different financial statements interact with each other. It allowed them to find out more about their own credit score. It took them down the whole role of, in terms of the legalities behind opening up a business, because opening up a business is not just about that idea, but looking at it and say, okay, what kind of business do I want to open up? Is it going to be an LLC? Is it going to be an S Corp? So how does that impact the business that I'm opening up? So by using those modules, they were incredible. They were easy to upload into our learning management system, which is Canvas, easy to use. And I just incorporated them into the lessons, which was absolutely phenomenal. And for me, when it comes to teaching entrepreneurship, not only using those resources, I do bring in speakers into the class, entrepreneurs that have worked with the center or have been a client of the center in the past and are currently successful. We bring them in because it's important for our students to see the possibilities, that it's not just what you're reading in a book, not just what you're seeing in a video, but that you can actually see these people in the community, see their businesses and see how they're growing. So again, it's a pathway for them to change what they want to become, that it doesn't necessarily mean that it's just that. So with everything that we teach along with that, for us, it's also about experiential learning, getting the students, you know, currently I'm teaching a marketing class and it's not entrepreneurship, but I'm having the class work on the marketing plan for our center, giving them, all right, you guys, what ideas do you have? How would you talk to a business owner? How would you get them to buy into this marketing strategy? So it still falls out, to me, falls along the lines of entrepreneurship. They're thinking differently. They're looking at the problems, they're problem solving, and they're being innovative about it, you know, because our world is rapidly changing. And if we are not educating our students to move along and adapt as quickly, they're going to fall behind. So for me, entrepreneurship, it's more than just teaching, it's a mindset. It really does help the student to see almost everything that they can become and not to shy away from it. You know, just because there may be some fear behind it, fear is just a word, does not mean, there's an acronym for it and I can't think of it right now, that you shouldn't fear. Don't fear fear. You know, take it as an opportunity to be able to move forward. You know, it does help them develop those skills that are necessary for life. I just don't think it's just about business. Here, it's about helping them to think critically. How are they going to problem solve along with that? Along with that, financial literacy is key. The more you know about money and the more you have a better relationship with money, the better off you're going to be. And along with that, teamwork. How do you collaborate with each other to get things done? Because as an entrepreneur, I do educate. Thank you for that, Colleen, with the fear. I appreciate that. Look in the chat, he put it in there, the acronym behind FEAR. And for, our students, helping them with teamwork, that they can't do things on their own. It really works on their communication skills, how to collaborate properly, how to negotiate. I have a lot of negotiators in my class, I could tell you that. But to me, bringing it into the classroom doesn't always just stay in the classroom. Like I said, once they do their research, they ask the questions, they look at all the different resources that I bring to their attention. It's amazing at the things they do end up achieving. And by the time they leave my class, I am happy to say that, I see the smiles on their face. I see them when they present their business plan, how feasible the plan is, the venture itself, whichever one they're thinking of. So, yeah. So I work for an organization that I actually picked up their mission statement for Brookdale, because it is about empowering diverse communities. It is about providing them the highest quality education possible, that it has to be cost effective for them. I'm a lifelong learner, so I work for an institution that it's all about lifelong learning and looking at the different options that are out there in terms of creating that pathway into what they want to become.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jackie.
You're welcome.
All right, let's go to the next slide. I think you actually have one more case study. Yeah.
And this to me was a huge one. It was a project. And my case study here has to do with our Long Branch Accelerator project. And this particular project, actually, we took the whole piece of teaching entrepreneurship to the community. And what the focus here was to expose individuals in a diverse, disadvantaged community, the opportunities that exist in entrepreneurship. And it wasn't just to tell them, oh, you have a great idea. Great, let's see what we could do with it. It was actually about educating them, creating the foundation with them. So this way, the business entity that they decided to create would be able to move forward. So the project itself started with a pitch. They had to come in and pitch their idea to judges. Some people want to say, oh, it was like Shark Tank. And I go, no, call it a pitch. I do not want to get sued. So this way, they came in, they pitched. 10 of those pitch winners were selected to enter this innovative accelerator project. And within 15 weeks, they obtained the knowledge they needed, the mentorship they needed. By the end of the 15th week, they had to do a demo day in which they presented once again and presented to individuals that had the opportunity to help finance their business. So educating individuals on entrepreneurship, it's not just within, a community college or a university. It's also about taking it into the community and letting individuals know that the opportunities are there. All they have to do is think about it a little bit. And we were amazed at the talent that was within that community. And the best part of it is, they're not looking to leave the community. And that was the focus of our accelerator project, to educate individuals on entrepreneurship so they could stay within the community and further develop it economically. So if you've never been to New Jersey, Long Branch is a beautiful town that's right on the coast. It's part of one of the Jersey Shore towns. So advice that I want to leave everyone with is that how to incorporate experiential learning into whatever you do that has to do with entrepreneurship. Actually, I feel it should be done in all curriculum. I'm going to take that back. Bring that into your classroom, along with peer-to-peer learning whenever it's possible. You would be surprised when you step back as a professor and you allow your students to engage, and how they can actually learn from each other and share information that's going to help them move forward. So it was a great program, so much so that some other towns have adopted it as well.
Yeah, anytime you can get students to go and build out a business and pitch it and gather feedback from customers or investors, I definitely say absolutely that's a best practice. We at Intuit actually have a social innovation challenge that's available to students that are in high school, that we're actually in the final week of submissions right now. But we will have that in the spring. We'll have another one. So just for any of those high school educators, that's a way you can do that virtually with Intuit. And those students go through design thinking, they build a business idea out, and then they submit that into us. So whether at the higher education level like Jackeline, or in high school, there's just any way that you can incorporate that, like what you did with the city of Long Branch, is a great idea.
Thank you.
All right. So I'll take this slide. This is really around, entrepreneurship outside the classroom, like what we were just talking about, right? Unfortunately, there's many entrepreneurs that build a business that don't last 15 years or more. I think there's the crazy stat that I've seen is 85% of businesses go out of business because of poor financial management. And, more than 50% of those go out of business in the first 5 years because of poor financial management. And so, how do we educate students on the resources and tools that they can use to be able to try not to be part of that stat, right? We want to make sure that they have, a lasting business. And, also businesses change, right? I mean, business, you need to pivot and adjust based upon, your customer needs, based upon, different things that happen in the environment. And so giving them the tools and resources to be able to do that is really important. So here we've got, QuickBooks Online resources. So we've got, our own free curriculum that we provide. We have a sandbox that you can teach in, and students actually get, a voucher for certification in QuickBooks that they can go out and, immediately use on their own if they're a solopreneur or an entrepreneur, if they want to start a business. But also if they're interested in bookkeeping or accounting, right, they can take that certification that shows that they know how to use QuickBooks, and that's something that they can immediately put to use. So I'd recommend you all taking a look at that. We do also have, for students, we have the free trial, as I mentioned earlier. So 12-month trial on QuickBooks Online. And then we do also have a voucher for certification. So they can, they can go through, get that certification and put that on their resume. And another thing I'll add here, and it's not, I didn't put it on the slide, but we do also have Design for Delight. So we have a course that they can go through, and they can actually take a certification in design thinking as well. So those are, think of it as like the financial side of an entrepreneurial house, and then you have the design thinking to help them come up with the concepts and how to go through and interact with customers and make sure that they're building products and services that meet their customers' needs. So yeah, that's a quick little tip or tidbit from Intuit on what we can provide. And let's go to the next page, and I'll give you this is the process to sign up for QuickBooks, and it's pretty straightforward. We do this through a third party called Share ID that manages, vendor or manages educator verification. So you just have to put in, this is on our website, but you can put in your contact info, so first, last name, your school email address, or your personal email address, and that'll get verified. You can point your phone up to the QR code that's on the screen right now, and it'll take you right to that page if you're interested. And again, this is something you get unlimited access to this, and we have a portal that we've built that enables you to manage your classes and your students, where you can go in, you can leverage some of our free data files that we've set up. We set up 3 different data files for educators to use in their class. There's one that's like a gaming business, one that's like a sushi restaurant business, and then there's another, I think, a plumbing business that's in there. So you can use each of those and have students set that up on their own, or if they have their own data that they want to drop in from an entrepreneurship perspective, they can do that as well. But you can see all of your students, you can manage them within the portal. So it's something I would really recommend for you all if you haven't already taken advantage of QuickBooks. So that's a quick way to get set up and going within QuickBooks today. All right, and now I think we're going to transition over to Lou and hear from him on some of his experiences and what he's learned and best practices for us. So Lou, take us away.
All right, thanks again, Ryan. I do want to go back and tell my teacher origin story because it is significant as far as me teaching entrepreneurship. And I had left, I mentioned before that I had left the IT industry. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I was just ready to do something else. And you'll find a lot of other people after being in IT for a while, they're trying to figure out what else can I do? Do I want to do this for the rest of my life? Some do, and that is great. When I started my job, I said I could do this through retirement. And after a few years, I said, but I don't want to. It would be fine, but let's try to do something different. And that's possible. We'll get into a little more of that in a bit. But I had left, and during my transition, I said, let me help out. Let me become a substitute just to be around the classes. I substituted at a couple of at the time, 2 of my daughters were both at the same school. So I substituted there just to help out. So that was good, but that was about it. Then someone called me and said, Mr. Blackburn, can you help out with music? My dad was once a music teacher. I really like music, and this school was very significant to my family. So I said, even though I don't want to, I will. And I was there for about half a semester. And spring break comes and I'm ready to just call it quits. It's like, I don't feel like dealing with these kids. Most of them don't want to learn from me anyway. It's middle school. If you've ever been around middle school kids, you can kind of understand why I was ready to give it up. And it just so happened when we left for spring break, they didn't go back. And so that was somewhat fortunate because I'm thinking, well, now what do I do about income? A couple of weeks later, the office manager called and said, well, Mr. Blackburn, we forgot to set up your Google Classroom account for your online teaching. Now, it's very tough to teach music online, especially if you're not used to teaching music, but that's okay. I left that, and we're in this mode of sheltering in place. And if you had asked me, well, what do I really want to do? I really wanted to, and this has been for previous 10, 15 years, I really wanted to help people with their personal finances. I'm a personal finance junkie. And so I figured, let's go be a financial advisor. And that's what I had started. The particular company I was working for, their target market is school employees. So whether you're janitor, cafeteria worker, teacher, whoever it is, they are catering to you. So I go through all the certifications, insurance license, FINRA, all of that stuff. And we are having this event at an elementary school. The teachers are having parents drive by to pick up supplies because this COVID year is about to start. They're going to be remote. They need all this stuff. And we're saying, hey, let us come help out. We'll move things around. We'll help have fun. We really just want them to like us so they'll become our customers. But we do that. It's a great event. We take pictures of everybody, take individual headshots because I am a photographer. And it's fun. Across the street is a high school. Now, I know this high school. My daughter's about to be a freshman. I go in there and I'm thinking, oh, okay. Well, they asked, do you have an appointment with somebody? I said, no, we don't. And I know it's COVID, so let's not even push. But they say, well, go ask the person over at Business Magnet. That's what it's, a magnet school, if they can come by. I just happen to know the person that asked, and they said, come on in. The office manager heard my name and said, oh, okay, which I thought was strange. She said, our principal wants to talk to you. And because I had been on a list of substitute teachers, he asked me to be a substitute. This is right before school starts. I don't want them to have a bad experience because my daughter is about to be a freshman at this school. So I say, all right, I'll give you a week. And after a week, now, mind you, this week, I'm going online, finding entrepreneurs, say, hey, they need somebody to help out, teach business class, entrepreneurship class, business law, all that, and nothing. I said, all right, I'll give you one more week, but I need to get back to being a financial advisor because that's what I want to do. That's how I'm going to make my money. But they still don't have anybody. The financial advising company, I talked to them about it, and they're upset that I'm doing it. And we parted ways, which was a stress reliever for me because I wasn't really crazy about the company and I hadn't made any money at doing it. So that was fine. I'm in the school, but our entrepreneurship curriculum was nifty. Network for Teaching, I'm sorry. Yes, Network for Teaching Entrepreneurs. And if you ever get an opportunity to use Nifty curriculum, please take advantage of it. Check it out. They have everything laid out for you. And my first period class was my freshman class, my entrepreneurship class. So I had the opportunity to introduce students, welcome them to high school, even though they were sitting in their bedrooms and their dining rooms. I had a chance to welcome them to high school, but that really became what I enjoyed. I had 4 classes. I taught a lot of seniors. I had virtual business and also business law. But the entrepreneurship, I loved. And I loved it because of the curriculum, because I could see that the lessons were exposing the students to more things that I really thought that they needed. Now, this wasn't personal finance for students. It was more so showing them how the business world works, little by little, so I could appreciate that. Now, Nifty had a number of hands-on activities, which is great for students in the classroom, not so good for them if they're all on Zoom. And for me, as we're going through it, I would put them in small groups, put them in Zoom breakout rooms. And again, these are freshmen, these are 9th graders. I don't know how many of you are in high school. If you are, just type in HS or whatever. 9th graders are different. 9th graders don't talk. They were in the breakout rooms, and I would go around and check. You're supposed to check in and make sure your students are working or doing whatever. I'm thinking, all right, I guess they're just chatting with each other because I see that they're in the breakout room, but I never heard them talk. And my daughter later told me, oh, no, when we're on Zoom, we can't chat person to person. We can only chat with the teacher. So I'm wondering, what are these students doing? I put them in breakout rooms and they don't do anything. And it started to become a bit depressing. And I apologize, it's telling me I have low battery, so I'm going to be moving it a little bit. But as we're going through, they're getting it. They're getting some of it. And I have some students that are talking, but I am disappointed that more of my students aren't talking. And I'm like, okay, it's good information. I get some to speak up every now and then, but maybe I'm really not having an impact on these students. And I'm thinking they're spending an entire year with a substitute teacher, which isn't good anyway. But then when I'm feeling like, all right, I'm a substitute teacher that's not a good teacher, they're not responding, it's a wasted year. We get to the end of the year, and I found out that Nifty has this competition that they want their students to give pitches. I didn't find this out till about maybe about 3 weeks before they needed to do it. And so we have 3 weeks that I say, all this information we've been doing, all right, you have an assignment, put together a pitch. And for some of you, Nifty is NFTE, by the way. For some of you, well, everybody's going to get a grade just for recording it, record it in Zoom, and upload it to Google Classroom. So that's what you.
Oh, looks like Lou froze for me. So while he's getting back online, I will just say Nifty is fantastic. They're actually one of the strategic partners that that we work with very closely, and we do a lot of design thinking exercises. They actually leverage QuickBooks within their curriculum as well as students build out. I believe it's the T-shirt business within their curriculum. So I definitely recommend you all check them out. So yeah, Lou, I think you're still frozen on my screen. Looks like he may have to jump back in. But I would say that, you know, the leverage the resources. I know he really just started talking about Nifty for entrepreneurship. I know we talked about, or Lou and I talked about prior to this, LinkedIn. So also just introducing your students to LinkedIn and making sure that they understand what that entails and how to start building, you know, a resume or a virtual resume, building their own their own profile, excuse me, on LinkedIn, and starting to investigate, you know, the different career pathways that they're interested in that relate to their passions. Hey Lou, you back?
Hello, I do apologize for that.
Oh, no problem. We were just talking about Nifty and how to introduce students into LinkedIn. So I'll let you pick it up where you dropped off.
Thank you. One of the things I did want to say about LinkedIn, and I'm sorry, let me jump back real quick to Nifty. They have a competition in which the students give a pitch, and all of my students prepared a pitch and recorded it and submitted it because I told them it was a significant grade. And with Nifty, that particular year, they said, any student that submits one to the competition, we'll give them a $100 gift card to Amazon. I told them, you don't even have to have a good pitch, just turn it in and qualify, I guess, but then you get $100. They're very afraid to do that. Nevertheless, the 3 that did submit, they went on to the next round. So that made me feel good. And I also learned about the ESB certification, Entrepreneurship in Small Business. That is an industry-based certification. In terms of the state of Texas, let's just say it's one of those things that we need to do. Students need to earn an industry-based certification by the time they graduate. Of my students, when we ended up taking it, they had to come on campus. So for most of them, that was the first time I saw them. And I think it was only because of the Nifty certification that 84% of my students who came on campus, so all 25 didn't, I think 16 out of the 18 or somewhere in there, it was 80-something%. But yes, at least 16 of them passed their certification. I say that was not me. It was me kind of directing them and delivering some of the information, but that came from the Nifty curriculum. Where I put LinkedIn in there is that became a wonderful resource for me. As Dr. Jackeline was saying, yes, bring people into the classroom, allow them to talk, especially on Zoom. We now have Zoom in classrooms and people have Zoom in their businesses at home. Find out who's an entrepreneur and just say, hey, I'd like you to come and speak to my students for about 15, 20 minutes. They'd love to do it. When I got my current assignment, my current school assignment, it was a matter of, okay, school year is about to start. And if I'm getting my certification, then I had better teach at least 2 semesters of a business course. And I'm looking around, I'm going to a job fair, and there were not many business teacher roles open. I finally find Samuel High School, and they have a role for IT teacher. I'm like, yeah, my resume looks great for an IT teacher, even though that's not what I want to teach. So I go up and I tell the principal, I will be an excellent IT teacher. My resume is great for you, but you have to give me at least 1 business class so I can get certified. And so she does that. And unfortunately, we kind of decide and agree, well, here are the classes you're going to teach. School is going to start on Monday. That Friday, they switch everything around and say, you're teaching foundations of user experience. I had no idea what that was. But fortunately, LinkedIn was there, so I could go on and find UX professionals, UX designers, UX researchers, and invite them to come talk to my students. And there were more than, these are people that I didn't know. I just said, hey, I'm teaching UX to high school students. Would you mind help give me some information and possibly even come talk to my students over Zoom one day? And yes, people love that. So don't be afraid of giving them the opportunity to help out, because they will. By the way, I do want to say this quote in here, students are afraid to do just like adults. And they are, and we are, because there are a lot of, when I was at HP, I was at HP for more than 16 years. I got married, I had a child, I had another child, I had a 3rd child. And it's like, all right, you want to go start your own business? Nope. Because if I fail, it's going to look bad. Number 1, I don't like being embarrassed. But then number 2, what about this family of mine? So again, I was happy to be pulled out of that. And yes, when I do get a chance to try being an entrepreneur, it didn't work. So I had to try again to be an entrepreneur. And that didn't work. And so now while I'm teaching, I still get to be an entrepreneur, and it's working. It's strangely working, but at least I had that push to say, I'm afraid to do it, just like my students are. It says we get the privilege of letting them practice. There's no D in privilege, and I tried to change it. I just couldn't. So I do want to publicly say, I know how to spell privilege, and I know that's incorrect, but we do. We let them practice. And like Dr. Jackeline talked about failure earlier, my wife gets tired of me talking to graduates and graduate functions, because I always tell them, go out there and fail. We're looking forward to your failures, because then we're going to be looking forward to your successes as well. And we're going to support you no matter what, because students need to hear that. They can practice it in the classroom. They can try a lot of things. I tell my students, now is the time to start a business, try a business, and push it as far as you can. And if you mess up, that's okay. There's a wonderful book. As we got into design thinking, and by the way, I found out that was the piece of entrepreneurship I really enjoyed. I enjoyed the aspect of design thinking. And when I got into user experience, I learned that, and this took me a couple of months as I'm trying to figure out what is user experience. The basis of it is design thinking, that you are designing a website, designing an app based on what people want. Google's professional certificates, they actually have a wonderful class based on user experience, based on user design. And now for my entrepreneurship class, I go back to that curriculum. By the way, if you're a CTE teacher at high school level or junior college level, the Google Professional Certificates curriculum is still free to you, I think through the end of this school year. So check it out. But I'll still go back to that UX design class to get some of the lessons about design thinking. And right now, my students are going through the Intel Design for Delight curriculum, because I need them to do a few things. The first aspect of design thinking is empathy. So understanding your customer, getting to know them, being concerned about what it is they want, what it is they do, what it is they know. And it would be wonderful if high school students could do that. And I really want them to get to know each other, but that's tough. So the empathy part, it's really tough with high school students. But that part of brainstorming, we have to practice that. There is an aspect of the Design for Delight lesson that talks about 11 stars or 11-star thinking, and that comes from Chesky, I think Brian Chesky, the founder of Airbnb. And I told the students, they did this a couple of lessons ago or a couple of classes ago, how would you rate your school on a scale of 1 star to 5 stars? So whatever it is, they give it their rating, they write it down. And we come back later on and I tell them, okay, whatever you need to make it 5 stars, write in everything. So if you say this school does everything I want it to do, I'm satisfied with it, write out all of that stuff, just list it out. And I have a timer on the board, our digital board, and I let them do that. After that, I tell them, all right, now you need it to be better than that. So we go 6 stars and then 7 stars. And there's a video that we kind of go through that I got from Intel, but I have to step them through it. And I have to tell them, get into unrealistic stuff. Tell me things that are impossible, could not happen. Beyonce is your dance instructor, or whoever are your favorite rappers. There's a concert in front of the school every day. Give me the impossible stuff, because our students can't think like that. They're not allowed to. And I need to push them to do that. That's what entrepreneurship does. It pushes them to just think about what's possible. Now, the whole point of the lesson is when you can get to the 11-star thinking, no, you can't do the 8, 9, and 10-star stuff. But at least now, it seems a little more practical to do the 6 and 7-star stuff. So let's try that. And that's the part I need them to do. I need to start thinking big, thinking bigger than the stuff that they've seen. I am here to show them the world. That's one of the things that we go through in a litany before each of my classes. Now, they don't realize it. I say, I'm here to show you the world. And they say, I can learn anything. Eventually, they'll say the whole thing. I'm here to show the world. I can learn anything. But right now, I tell them, I am here to show the world. You can't travel with me and my family if we go overseas or if we go to another part of the country. You don't know the things that I've seen. So I have to show that to you because you're young. And I remind the parents as often as I can, your child looks big, but they're still young. So we still need to guide them. We need to help them. I mentioned talking points at the bottom there. I love using talking points because I can talk to my parents and they talk back to me. I need that. But I also share lessons with them. So as far as our 7-to-1 lesson that we did today, I send that out to parents. I say, go through this with your child. and help them come up with some ideas of what would make Samuel High School awesome. Because I need them to think about that, but at the same time, I need the parents to go through this practice as well. In terms of supporting our community, we have 1,700 students at our school. Most of them have at least 2 contacts, but let's just say that there was 1 contact. Okay, our school can reach out to 1,700 adults, in addition to the 250 employees that we have, in addition to the 1,700 students that we have. Any business in our attendance zone would love to have that kind of reach, that they partner with us and they support our school, and we say, hey, we really enjoyed the support of this place here. So then how do I take my entrepreneurial thinking and use it in the school for our community? Because we have a powerful base of potential customers for anybody. But on that web design and the UX experience, what we're working on is how do we get some type of research arm, so that whether you're talking about high school students or you're talking about teachers, and we'll eventually reach out to not just our high school teachers, but the middle school and elementary teachers in our attendance zone, we can survey them and we can interview them and know what they want. So Mr. Businessman, Mr. Business Owner, when you need to do your market research, come to us, because our high school will have already done it. We need it for our entrepreneurship curriculum. We need it for our web development curriculum. So come to us. That's what we're working on, being the center of information, market information for our students. And we can appreciate the curriculum that we've had for it, but we build on it. So as I mentioned, we have the nifty curriculum that we're using. We pulled from, and I think I have about 2 more days that I'm going to be using the Intel's Design for Delight curriculum. One aspect of that, by the way, I hope you get a chance to go through the Catalyst training with Intel. They do a wonderful job of they use digital whiteboards better than anyone else. We had the discussion in my house recently. My wife, as well as my high school daughter, they just say, yeah, digital whiteboards, they're just, more hassle than they're worth. Intel does give you Design for Delight templates. So we use that and we go through how to use it. For my students, we start on paper. I really enjoy sticky notes. So we have the Post-it notes, we have the tablet paper, because they can actually see that. They can physically move it and I can tell that they're doing something. And then also I get a chance to take pictures and share it with admins. But it is something that they can physically touch. And then we move to making it digital. So make it concrete for the students first. But after that, go ahead and show them how they can do it more efficiently and they can actually collaborate together. So I'm sorry, let me go back to my curriculum. Nifty, we use Intel. Nifty, we're using the Entrepreneurship 1 curriculum. I had previously used the Entrepreneurship Essentials, which is supposed to be kind of the smaller form of it. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Hopefully I'll get a chance to use the Entrepreneurship 2 curriculum to kind of add on to it. But what the E1, Entrepreneurship 1 does, it helps the students build their business plan and build their business pitch. So that's what we're doing. We're working on all of that. They can probably just put together the information, but then how do I get them to actually understand it? So we spend the entire year understanding, yes, you need a target market. You need to go after them. And how do you figure out how to reach those particular customers that you want? You don't want to be everybody. I tell customers, don't try to be Walmart. Don't try to be Target. Don't try to be your local grocery store in which you say, hey, we will serve everyone. Figure out who your customers are. It's a wonderful thing that I initially learned from 4-Hour Workweek. So if you ever had a chance to read that book, then go for it. I'll mention a few books. So 4-Hour Workweek. Another one, as I was learning about design thinking, I just happened to come across Design Your Life. Design Your Life comes out of the D School in Stanford, and they actually teach it to college students. Usually students say, man, I wish I had learned this when I first started college because it would help me. The same type of design thinking that we do for products or for businesses and services, they do that for your life. Get to understand yourself, and then let's brainstorm what's possible. Let's create webs of knowledge of what could we do that sounds just crazy, and then try things. So yes, Jennifer was saying earlier that she tells her students, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. Well, for me, I'm a teacher right now, but I don't put so much hold onto it that I say, I'm going to be a teacher for the next 10, 15 years. Nope, I'm a teacher right now. And that's what we have to do with our students, is to let them know, try some business right now. And if you decide to graduate and get into some career, all right, do that. Plan on 2-3 years. If you do it after that, okay, that's wonderful. But if you change, it's okay. You're not a failure if you come back and tell your teachers, no, I'm doing something totally different. We just want to know that you're doing something. And as long as we give that to the students, they can be great entrepreneurs. They can decide, well, I'm not going to be an entrepreneur. And here's something else I tell students. I want you to understand how to be an entrepreneur, because I want you to understand what goes on in the business world. And if you're not an entrepreneur, you go work for somebody else, they will appreciate the fact that you know what's going on in the business. So you will be one of the best employees that they have. So give that to parents, let them understand. Brian,
hey, Lou, thanks so much. I know we're a little bit long on time. This info has been awesome. There are a couple questions though I'd like to get you and Jackeline's perspective on. So there's a couple that just came in around advising students that are placed in internships at local small businesses, and they want to know any recommendations for teaching students on how to learn or about other businesses instead of them jumping into it first.
I'll let Jackeline start.
I would say, yes, there is. Going over case studies with your students, I think it's critical for them to see those that are successful and those that are not. I mean, there's so much information out there. I feel we're on information overload anyway because of everything that we get. So, I mean, you could go on YouTube, search it, you'll find something that'll talk specifically to that. Just show them what happened with a particular company and what was the outcomes. Again, so much information out there regarding it. All it really takes is a few clicks on the computer and you'll be surprised what YouTube and what video you could come up with that'll talk specifically to that. One of the things that I know someone put in the chat regarding curriculum. And for me, again, I'm at a community college level, which is different, but not that different from high school. Trust me, 12 and 13, not that different, right? I shouldn't say that out loud, but I did. Anyway, online educational resources. I'm an educator and I hate the fact that our students would have to spend so much money on a textbook. When you're at the college level, one book can cost you a couple of $100s. So I've learned to go on and look for online educational resources. They have curriculums, again, built already that you can modify to help you in teaching entrepreneurship in class. And again, easy to upload into your learning management system, not difficult at all. I tend to use OpenStax, but there's other ones out there as well that I would highly recommend.
Yes, let me go to, I'm sorry, you mentioned internships. What was the other part?
Just how they can gain experience without trying a new business themselves. More on the experiential side with local small businesses.
Yes, thank you. So for our nifty curriculum, as I mentioned, the basis of it is creating that business plan. You're going to create the business pitch. From that, or before that, you're putting together what they call a lean canvas. So it's kind of a one-pager in which you put the basic aspects of your business or your business plan. And it's pretty much fill in the blank of creating that. And so I want students to go through that of their own business, but at the same time, we're reaching out to local companies to say, hey, do you mind partnering with our students so that they can talk to you? So we have 2 or 3 of them that are on board and we're using them. I would love to have one business for each of my tables or groups of 3 or 4 students. Chambers of Commerces are very nice, and they've been willing to talk to us and talk to their members, but then sometimes it's a matter of they don't always read their email either. So we do have to make phone calls and follow up with them. But that's how we've found some of our people, and some of it is just going to be a matter of either walking up to people or again, getting on LinkedIn and using our personal contacts of who we know just to say, I need help with entrepreneurship. Would you mind if my students create a business plan for your business and create a business pitch? Because that forces them to kind of network a little bit and get out of their comfort zone. But at the same time, they don't have to worry about just creating things and being experimental. They're actually getting information about an existing business. Oh, and I'm sorry. For us, we have a department, a CTE department, and they are working on creating internship opportunities. They're not always as professional as we would like, but that also goes to the partnerships with our chambers of commerce, like for our neighborhoods or part of town. Then yes, we're hoping that that leads to internship opportunities as well.
All right. We have one more question, and I realize that we've got some attendees that need to run to other things, but last question is suggestions for parents and teachers of students with disabilities or with abilities that are outside of the box. You know, how have you seen anything that's worked well for students that have special needs?
Actually, I have in our neighborhood. During the pandemic, our center partnered up with one of the local town schools system. And what we did was we informed and educated the parents on the different businesses that they could go into in order to create a business for the individuals with special needs. We actually have a couple in our town. One is a goat farm and the other one is a restaurant. And the one with the restaurant actually is teaching those with special needs hospitality. And when you go to that restaurant, you know who's working there. They do everything from cooking to serving. They take care of everything. Yes, there are individuals there watching what they're doing, but this particular restaurant now, it's no longer a for-profit restaurant. It's actually becoming a nonprofit because it's seen as an educational model to help parents as well as students with special needs to create a venture that would employ them. And those students that are being trained under hospitality are being hired by other restaurants in the community as well, because they're very focused. They can take care of a great deal of things that you would be surprised at, and they're being employed. And that's what they want to do. They want to be part of the community. So this came out of an entrepreneurial idea of a parents that wanted to create a business for their daughter so she could work there. And she ended up going to another school for hospitality outside of the area. But the parents did create it, and it is actually a plus in our community. So it's there. I get funded, or not I, but the center gets funded by the Small Business Administration. They also have resources for parents who are looking to open up a business to employ those that are difficult in getting them employment. So
yeah, I was going to mention the SBA or SBDCs in your area may be a great resource for you on that.
We're huge connectors of all the resources. Anything that has to do with entrepreneurship and small business development, that's who we are. We connect either the individual with the resource or an organization if we can help them.
Great. Well, again, thank you so much for your time for all of our attendees, as well as Jackeline and Lou. We really appreciate your input and just ideas around entrepreneurship. I shared a lot of different links in the chat, so please take advantage of those. But if you do have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me or our team here at the Job Readiness at Intuit. Again, thank you very much. We really appreciate you all being on today. And with that, we'll close the webinar. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Dr.